Hello everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Red Embrace Hollywood, the game about vampires, darkness, and sexy boys. As you can see, I changed the position of my camera a bit, so this time I hope I won't be hiding too much of the facial expressions of our characters, and also I won't go over the text. As I said before, the camera position in this game is a little bit problematic because there's a lot of things happening on the screen, but I hope we shall be good with that. So without further ado, let's load the game and let's continue our story. Ring ring. 12:01. I've been waiting 3 hours for this call, anxiously pacing in my room. I picked up the phone before the third ring, readying myself for Marcus' poetic drawl. "Hello to our valued Hollywood Heights customer." But instead, a boisterous, theatrical voice boomed at me through the receiver. "Are you paying too much for your car insurance? We're offering a very special deal just for Hollywood Heights Platinum Rewards members." Yeah. Hello, is anyone there? You're a real riot, Marcus. I see my efforts to put your nerves at ease are unappreciated, brother, and I'm mighty disappointed. Down to our business for tonight, however. The place you're to go is July Company Parking, an abandoned garage downtown. That is where the parties of our doomed rendezvous are meeting. You'll need to find Randall and get him to call off negotiations. Do you follow me thus far, brother? My performance anxiety is kicking in. Just think about something besides the fact that it's win or die tonight, and I believe you'll be just fine. Now listen carefully, because here comes the best part. There's a knife that Randall loves very, very much. Why, he loves that blade as much as Lot's daughters love their daddy. If he thinks someone stole it, it'll drive him completely wild and put him in a very unprofessional mood. I heard Marcus inhaling sharply on the other end of the line, like someone preparing to gleefully deliver news. And the knife just so happens to be waiting for you at the hotel's front desk. You take that knife, show it to Randall, and pretend you took it off a Golgotha who wanted to drive a hot bargain with it. That'll sure ruin negotiations. I rather doubt Randall would mistake you for one of his unwashed lackeys, but Charisse says he'll be seeing too much red to care. This sounds sketchier than the gas station sushi, but okay. If you want to get by in this existence, you'll have to get used to unsavory plates. Now, once you've finished up, return to the hotel bearing all your good tidings. I have faith in you, Vince. Then again, I also had faith in Jack Kennedy, so maybe don't call yourself the Messiah just yet. Click. It was sink or swim then. I didn't have the first idea of what to expect, and that terrified me, but if I'd survived so far in Hollywood among the living, then I'd find a way to do it among the dead too. After picking up the knife from the front desk, I left the hotel and skulked out into the streets. July Company Parking. I vaguely remembered seeing that sign before, at least so I had some idea where to go. Stealing my nerves, I set out in the garage's direction, trying to avoid eye contact with any late-night passerby. But as I walked, I started to feel the same aching hunger I'd felt last night. A dull pain at first, but it quickly grew stronger, gnawing at me from the inside. I couldn't focus on anything else. Before I entered the parking garage, I'd have to find blood to sate myself, or else the pressure would snap me. Damn it, that was probably why the fridge had 3 blood packs, not just 1. Just then, my heightened senses picked up a scent. Down the alley. The scent of a mortal. Alone. There was no one else nearby, which meant I could feed on them, if I wanted to. The pain was getting worse. My body ached, my head spun, and the whole world pulsed in front of me. Give in to the hunger. We have to give in. If you try to resist too much, we're going to just amp up the hunger later on. It's just going to get worse. So let's do it. It was no use. I needed to feed. I needed blood, warm blood. These were my new instincts. Everything had changed, and denying that would just be a losing battle. That's what I said. I slipped into the alley, pulled like a magnet towards that wonderful scent. It didn't take long before I caught sight of the source. The young man let out a gasp and I stalked up to him. He'd been taking a piss behind the dumpster, but quickly zipped himself up and cleared his throat. I think it's a little hint to Bloodlines 2. I mean, to Bloodlines 1, 2, like T-O-O. I remember the Santa Monica feedings that I was doing, and there was this one guy looking like Marilyn Manson who was constantly walking behind the dumpster near Asylum Club, and he was taking a piss in there, and he was the easiest catch in the whole Santa Monica. So, yep, I do recall this moment from Bloodlines. Hello? Can I help you with something? I'm just on my way home from work. His voice trembled. This was the first time someone had ever really been afraid of me. But the only thing I could concentrate on was the smell of his blood, suddenly the most delicious scent in the world. Don't worry, I'm not going to mug you. Oh, that's a relief. His nervous laughter echoed in the alleyway. I took a step towards him, slowly. He stayed in place, but I could see his whole body tensing up, getting ready to turn and bolt. Another step, and another, until he was only a foot or two away. Shh, come here, just for a moment. At first he only stared at me, blinking, but the next moment he stumbled forward, as if I was pulling him by an invisible string. Ooh, sexy. I curled my arms around him, gently tilting his head to one side, and the hunger in my gut jumped eagerly. I'm sorry. With a shuddering breath, he closed his eyes, weakly clutching my shirt. My lips met the side of his neck. Fangs extending, I pressed them to his flesh. And sunk them in. Hot blood flooded onto my tongue, down my throat, sending sparks of life into my dead body. It was pure bliss. Not like food, not even like a buzz. It was a high, a delicious shock that ran through me and lifted me up. The blood pack from last night couldn't even compare. It was like tasting ambrosia after licking dirt off the ground. But it wasn't just a taste that made the moment euphoric. It was the experience, the predatory feeling of holding this mortal who squirmed with pleasure as I fed from him. The faint whimpers leaking out from beneath my fangs, soft and sweet. Why was it so unnervingly satisfying? Slowly his body grew limp in my arms, slightly trembling, chest rising and falling unevenly. I pulled back, licking my lips. I almost gotten carried away and drank too much. It was so hard to help myself. The young man was still slumped in my arms, peacefully unconscious. I could still feel his heart beating, and his skin didn't look too pale. He'd wake up before long, or so I hoped. But I couldn't waste any more time. I needed to head towards the garage to catch the meeting before it ended, so I decided to carry him somewhere safe, okay? We are a good vampire. I mean, at least yet. Maybe it will change after a while, but yeah, let's be good so far. This was LA at night, and leaving an unconscious guy lying in the alley was probably only a step away from a manslaughter. Funny how this boy was more in danger from his fellow men than from a monster like me. Grabbing him under his arms, I dragged his ragdoll body through the shadows, searching the nearby buildings for a safe place to leave him. It wasn't long before I found an old dentist's office, long since abandoned. I kicked open the door and set the man down inside the dark, dusty waiting room, tossing the rug on top of him for a blanket. Better than nothing. probably. I mean, honestly, I would personally be more afraid if I woke up in the old abandoned dentist's office than if I were to wake up alone in the LA streets. Just saying. At last, with a somewhat lightened conscience, I hurried back to the streets. Humanity raced. But as I rushed towards the parking garage, savoring the last drops of blood on my tongue, I couldn't stop thinking about what just happened. So this was what it meant to be a vampire. An urban, unholy apex predator. A parasite, just like Marcus had said, living off somebody else's life. There really was no going back. July Company parking garage, closing October 8th. How many Octobers ago, I wondered? Judging from the litter and grime all around the sign, probably quite a few had passed. Well, it didn't matter. This was the place. A bored-looking fuck stood by the entrance, obviously stationed as a god. My first trial, by the looks of it. Putting on a confident expression, I strode up to him, clearing my throat. Place is closed. Go dick around somewhere else. He barked a few short words out at me before I could even open my mouth. I'm one of the Golgotha meeting here tonight. Please let me in. Oh yeah, you don't really look like one of them. Hard to tell sometimes though. He peered into my face suspiciously, letting out a grunt. But Randall told me to not let anyone else inside. It's too much shit at stake. Even if I promise you something later? Or... What a shame. I figured you were the type of a guy who liked cash. Cash? He paused, a greedy light flickering in his eyes. Alright, how much cash we talking about here? Fork it over and I'll say, you got past when I wasn't looking. Hand over the money. Yeah, baby. I handed him everything left in my wallet, which was apparently enough to buy me the backstage pass I needed. I really hope I won't need this money later, but let's see. With any luck, I could get the money back from Charisse later. A legitimate business expense, hopefully. Well, what the hell are you waiting for? Get your ass inside before I change my mind. Okay. The guard stepped aside and I didn't waste any time hurrying into the garage. I was lucky they only had muscle and not brains in front of the entrance. This also gives me Bloodlines vibes. You remember the parking mission from Fat Larry? Oh my god. I remember you had to go down the spiral parking to get to the very bottom where there was a suitcase waiting for you. And there were gang members all around shooting guns at you. And the worst thing was the freaking floors were never ending. There was always another after another and there were thugs everywhere. And yeah, I didn't like that mission. After darting down a few levels of the garage at the top speed, there we go, a few levels again, I finally arrived. Loud whispers and rowdy laughter made it sound like the meeting hadn't started yet. Just in time then. I was just in time. The two groups standing across from each other were pretty clear-cut, and I could easily tell which house was which. One was full of rough types, probably gangsters and punks in life. BRUJAH. Tattoos, leather, jackets, piercings, and wild eyes were everywhere. The other group, interestingly enough, looked like the complete opposite. Eccentric outfits, soft murmurs, and a large amount of eerie smiles. Golgotha. Alright, let's cut the bullshit and talk conditions. A deep voice suddenly boomed through the garage, making everyone fall silent. Look at this handsome guy! Moments later, a tall, muscular vampire pushed his way to the front of the Mavar group. The sheer force of his presence made it instantly clear who he was. As I told you guys, Mavar are kind of a mix of BRUJAH and Gangrel in this game, I would say. More of a BRUJAH, really, and well, this actually also pays into that stereotype, as BRUJAH do indeed have the discipline called presence, and they do use it to be these leaders of the movements, the political ones, the groups, the gangsters, or whatever kind of environment they stick themselves into. I only agreed to this meeting because I hate those scary bastards more than I hate you. I guess that's mutual. If you want a truce, there'd be better something to sweeten the deal. I don't think these guys here will settle for anything less. Yeah! Hell yeah, don't let them whistle out, Randall! Cheers of approval rang out from the rowdy group behind him. Why, of course, Mr. Randall. We wouldn't dream of offering anything but the fairest of terms for our Mavar brethren. One of the Golgotha vampires stepped forward, his sing-song voice tinged with a British accent. I cannot do accents very well, but what can I do? Fuck you, slimy bastard! We know what your game is! Snarls and jeering instantly rustled among the Mavar in response. Fairest, sure. You bastards would cheat a blind guy at dice if you could get away with it. So what are you gonna try to sell us? Fortune-telling services? Voodoo magic? We're gonna need something realer than empty promises? The Golgotha vampire let out a smack chuckle, like he had a hidden trump card ready. I didn't like the sound of that. If I had to crash and burn this meeting, then I'd have to do something now, before they worked out the deal. Call out to them, I will be ballsy in here and I will rush up to Randall. Whoa! Hey, watch where you're... Pushing through the crowd of Mava, I bolted up to Randall as fast as I could. I pulled out his knife and held it in my palms, trying to keep my face from revealing anything. Whoa, 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 what the hell are you doing, kid? He glared at me, shocked and suspicious. And I realized that if I couldn't convince him, that accusing look might just be the last thing I'd ever see. I am not going to call him boss because I'm not a Mavar, and I think that's like he would see through it because he seems to be kind of like a good leader type who knows whose leader he is. So I would say, I hate to interrupt, but is this knife yours? Knife? I didn't drop any... What the... Cutting off mid-sentence, Randall glanced down at the knife in my hands. Then his eyes slid back up to mine, meeting my gaze wordlessly for a few moments. You got this from... Golgotha? A Golgotha. I took a deep breath. This motherfucker! They stole it from me? Holy hell! Excuse me? Mr. Randall, would you mind explaining what's going on? The leader of the Golgotha group called over to us, clearly confused. Damn it, I can't deal with this shit right now. Mr. Randall, awfully sorry to interrupt, but we'd really like to present our Get the fuck out of here! All of you bastards, meeting's fucking cancelled. Randall's angry command echoed through the garage, loud enough to make a few vampires wince. And you guys make sure these motherfuckers scurry back to their rat holes. He addressed his own group with a low growl, which was met with hurried nods and eager knuckle cracking. I'll meet you outside in a little while. Go on, get going! Alright, you heard the man! Come on, let's go! Within seconds, the garage turned into a chaotic mess of Golgotha vampires fending off rabid Mava, who pushed and shoved them to the exit. It was easy to tell how much Randall's group was hungry for a fight, but the Golgotha vampires stayed placid, like they refused to give the Mavar what they wanted. The confusion and shouting went on for a few hectic minutes, but eventually the garage emptied, leaving behind only Randall and me. We're alone in the garage. Ooh. Man, you have some balls. After a long moment of silence, Randall let out a long, tired sigh, finally turning his attention back to me. It was supposed to be a trick, right? You were trying to turn me against the ghosts. I'm not gonna lie, it was a pretty shitty attempt. Even if they did bring my knife as a bargaining chip, there's no way they'd be that careless with it. Let me guess, Queen Bitch sent you, didn't she? Your mother and I haven't spoken in years. No, okay. We're not doing that. You mean Charisse? Who the hell else? Fucking Charisse. Figures. She must have known I'd see through this. It's too obvious. What the hell is she aiming for? Is carrying their mind games. Damn it. Randall growled deep in his throat, fangs bared like a wild animal. But his rage didn't seem focused on me, much to my surprise. He was still holding the knife too, so I considered myself lucky. Finally, he let out a groan, most of the anger on his face fading into annoyance. Probably good we didn't bargain with these freaks anyway. They were up to something just like always. But you, I've never seen your face before, and I've seen just about every vampire in LA. And since you were sent on a suicide mission, it doesn't take a whole lot of detective work to see that you're new. Cannon fodder, kicked out to die. Just like LaCroix did for me in Bloodlines. What's your name anyway? It's Vince. Hi, it's me. Vince, huh? Well, Vince, way to make a fucking entrance. He didn't sound quite as pissed as I figured he'd be. I should probably tear you up for pulling that shit on us, but man, I guess you didn't get much of a choice. Just like Queen Bitch taking a newbie and throwing him out to the sharks. There's not a whole lot I can do for you, not with her and high alert. The Scary still have the most power in LA right now, so if Charisse wanted you dead, well, you'd be dead. She'd find you no matter where you try to hide out. Taking you in right now, well, it'd be too much of a risk, and I gotta look out for me and my group. His shoulders raised in a helpless shrug, one hand scratching the back of his head. He really did sound apologetic, even though he didn't necessarily have any reason to be. Well, Charisse wants a truce with you eventually. Would you agree to one? What? She says you're the leader of the Mavar and wants to be allies. A choked laugh of disbelief erupted from his throat. If he reacted like that to just the mention of an alliance, it probably didn't bode well for Charisse. That's the dumbest thing I've heard all month, and I just read the magazine ad trying to tell me my dick wasn't big enough. Good to know. Sure, these guys look up to me, but I'm not their leader. They have no leader. That's kind of a fucking point. Ha! He's like Nice Rodriguez again. Told her that 100 goddamn times too. Hard concept for a dolled-up fascist to grasp, I guess. He muttered his last words spitefully, grinding a stray piece of gravel underneath his boot. Well, so it seems like Randall is kind of a Nice Rodriguez figure in this game, while Charisse is our prince, maybe. I mean, if you have to compare, I think that would be kind of clear comparison. You sounded like a leader earlier. Me, I'm just their voice, you know, 50 guys shouting at once, that can get real loud. Now one guy speaking for the group, that makes negotiations a lot easier, even if I'd rather negotiate with my knuckles in that smug fucker's face. He snarled, grinding his fist into his palm, glaring in the direction the Golgotha went off earlier. Christ, I can't believe Queen Bitch thinks I'll work under her. Every Scary is always out to use or kill you for power, that's just how it goes. They say they're all about beauty and peace and words over fighting, but it's all a fucking sham. One big bunch of snakes. I'm in a Scary, actually. Hello? Oh shit, you are, aren't you? Probably stiffening, Randall stared at me for a few seconds. His fingers curled into fists, knuckles turning white. Before long, he let out a pained sigh. Maybe I didn't have a soft spot for newbies, I'd be real tempted to crack you open right here, but I won't. My point still stands. The Scary will fuck you over no matter what, even if you're part of the same house. And those Golgotha creeps, they're all wrapped up in shit, I don't know, conspiracy theories or weird prophecies or something. I told you, Tremere meets Malkavians, that's Golgotha for you. Except for Marcus anyway. Marcus is the best goal I know around here. Oh, Marcus. It's amazing. I can... yeah, let's do that. Yeah, I can understand anything he says. It's great. I don't think most people can. It's hard to pick out the wisdom from the poetic bullshit. Marcus, man. I used to hate his guts since he was always playing nice with Queen Bitch, not to mention that slow, preachy way he talks. But then when I shut up and actually listened to what he said, I realized he's got it all figured out. The politics, the mind games, everything. Randall paused, shaking his head in bemused awe. He didn't seem like the type of a guy who'd respect just anyone, so the fact that he thought so highly of Marcus must have really meant something. The guy could be the king of Los Angeles if he wanted to, hell, probably the whole world. But instead he just hangs out in his porn store and sells giant rubber dicks. I start to like Marcus more and more. Really makes you think, doesn't it? Randall clutched his stomach, doubling over as if he just cracked the best joke of a century. My house is full of scumbags, the Golgotha are crazy, so what's wrong with the Mavar? Good work, I can tell you've been paying attention. Not a whole lot to say about us, really. Mavar don't complicate shit. We just don't stand for unfair rules, and Queen Bitch is full of them. Vampires should be able to do whatever the hell they want. I know, preach, Mr. Anarch, preach. No murder sprees and no revealing your nature in public. Aside from that, we like to live our own lives as we damn well please. Usually on the wilder side. Wink. Got a problem with another vampire? Face them head on. No politics, that shit's for the scary. We're beasts after all, and Mavar don't hide from that. We embrace it. I get you, brother. I start to talk like Marcus, don't I? I'm not going to be like that. I guess I'll be nice to him. Interesting. Dangerous, but interesting. No more dangerous than scary scheming or Golgotha mind games. We don't dance around shit. And that's how it should be. If you slap rules on the world as dangerous as ours, you're gonna have a problem. Trying to make crazy, powerful creatures all play nice with each other is a recipe for a fucking disaster. Lying, murder, theft, it's a piece of cake for us. Ah, whatever. You'll understand one day. With a wry smile, Randall reached out to clamp a large hand on my shoulder, squeezing it roughly. He's so nice to me, isn't he? Like, is he hitting on me too? So far, I get the vibe that Heath is totally hitting on me, Randall seems to be hitting on me, and the only person that seems to be like, is Marcus. And yeah, it's kind of funny how these three are playing with me a bit so far. Alright kid, it's been fun, but I need to go make sure the others aren't running down ghosts in the street or anything else too crazy. Also, can I just mention he has just touched an Iskari vampire. He literally squeezed my arm like a dad. He likes me, okay? I'm scary, he should hate me, but he likes me. I'm usually at the beach with my crew, so if you ever decide to hop onto the winning team... He trailed off and clicked his tongue playfully, winking at me. He's totally hitting on me. Thanks, Randall. Nah, no need to thank me. We were all newbies once, I did my best to remember that. Can I just say one thing? One little criticism I have so far. I love the character models, and I mean the drawings and the facial expressions and everything, but I feel like Randall, although his design is nice, some of his expressions are a little bit weird. Like when his face is turned down, it looks very flat. I think there's some little issues with his anatomy. So visually, he's not really my type. Both because of the drawings, I think, are a little bit more lacking than Marcus and Heath. And also because maybe I'm not into buff guys that much. Anyway, with that, we parted ways. I left the parking garage with a slightly clearer picture of the world I'd been tossed into, thanks to Randall. Luckily, the guard at the entrance was gone, so I avoided another awkward encounter. Maybe Randall would explain things to him later. That whole mess had worked out somehow, although I had to wonder how much was just beginner's luck, since most of it seems too convenient to be true. I arrived at the hotel with an overwhelming sense of relief, making my way back to the meeting room from last night. Oh, hello, Heath. Oh my god, he's so handsome. As it turned out, Charisse and Heath were already waiting for me. Welcome back, Vince. We already heard about the little mess you caused at the parking garage. Word travels fast. Heath's airy voice rang with pride, and he offered me an encouraging smile. Yes, you've done quite an impressive job. Your performance certainly surpassed my expectations. Unsurprisingly, Charisse didn't match Heath's smile, but she did offer me a sharp nod. You tricked me, yeah, but... Before we go any further, let me clear the air. I predicted that Randall would see through the knife deception. However, you accomplished a twofold task, perhaps without realizing it. You disrupted their truce discussions, at least for now, and you also made yourself known by name to Randall, who is a significantly powerful vampire. From the smack lilt in her tone, I could tell Charisse was pretty pleased with the outcome of events. Did that mean my instincts were right? None of what happened back there was an accident? As I mentioned earlier, your naivety is assumed by everyone you meet. Even secretive, insular vampires will open to you simply because they want to win you to their cause. You should use this to your advantage while you still can. Ingratiate yourself with those who believe you have no allegiances. That seems kind of dishonest. On the contrary, there's nothing dishonest about it. Most vampires have only their own self-interest at heart. If they're foolish enough to believe you are incapable of critical thought, then they deserve whatever they get. She sniffed pointedly, nudging her glasses back up her nose. That aside, I have another task for you. It entails less conflict but is of equal importance. Please go, I'm listening. One of my contacts in South LA was unreachable tonight. I need to know why, but I can't spare any of my other associates to go find her. Things are very busy, you see. I imagine she's perfectly fine, as she often vanishes for a night or two to engage in frivolities, but I'd like to confirm the situation. Go to the area, track her down, and report back to me. Not too complicated, is it? Understood, I'll be back once I found your contact. Excellent. I have the greatest faith you'll carry out that promise. My calm response seemed to please Charisse, who peered at me contently from over her glasses. I need to be nice to her, just like I was nice to LaCroix. Maybe she'll give me a new haven. Very well. One final thing, Vince, before you go. What is it? I suggest you partner yourself with, or at least try to learn from, an older vampire. Oh, there we go. We're choosing a romance path, are we? I don't know, maybe. My agent here, Heath, is relatively new himself, but he may have some valuable insights on Hollywood to share with you. When Charisse mentioned his name, Heath perked up, his eyes sparkling curiously. I imagine him just like suddenly tilting his ears like, Did I hear you compliment me just now, Charisse? I was merely stating the facts. She coolly replied to Heath without missing a beat. Oh, I see. Moving along. Marcus too possesses a remarkable insight and knowledge, but as a Golgotha he is also particularly eccentric, and his loyalties are unpredictable. Take everything he says with a grain of salt. And this may come as a surprise if you decide to seek out Randall as a mentor. I won't stop you. I acknowledge the strength of his position as well as his charisma and conviction. However, do not let yourself be swayed by his anarchistic beliefs. The current war is proof of what happens when vampires eschew leadership. Chaos, paranoia, war, and bloodshed. Without the war, but still. Thanks for the advice. I'll choose carefully, based on their appearance, of course, and nothing else. So you should. The decision may be the most important one you'll ever make, of course. I mean, the decision who to bang in the end, so it is pretty important in a game like that. Is it, though? Even I will be staying here to discuss affairs, but I'll expect your report in the next few days, Vince. She lifted an elegant hand, pointedly gesturing towards the door. Heath looked disappointed, flashing me an apologetic grimace when Charisse wasn't looking, but it seemed like he was stuck there for a moment. I took the hint and left, heading towards the elevator. A part of me wondered what affairs they were talking about, but eavesdropping probably wasn't worth the risk. My room welcomed me back with all its glamorous, lifeless shine. But as relieved and happy I was to complete my trial, I felt incredibly restless and uneasy. Lifting the curtains with one hand, I gazed out the window, absorbing the vibrant cityscape before me. Yesterday, it had all felt like a dream. Today, reality was finally setting in. I was a vampire, chained to eternity. Trapped behind glass, separated from the Hollywood life I've dreamt of, so close and forever unreachable. Like the cityscape, that dream would always glitter in the distance, a reminder of what I'd lost. No matter how strong I was, it still felt like my whole world had just plunged upside down, and I couldn't find anywhere to put my feet. Maybe I really did need a mentor to help me through this. Rules, etiquette, and powers? I could figure those out by myself given enough time. That wasn't what I needed most. I needed a way to ground myself, to figure out what being a vampire really meant and who I was becoming. The three men Charisse mentioned seemed to know what they were doing, if nothing else. There was a good chance that one of them could help me discover my place in this new life. With that, I made up my mind. Tomorrow, I'd go and see. And I think this is where we will end this episode, guys, and you will let me know in the comments who we will go and meet tomorrow. Although I have to say, I'm personally a little bit into Heath currently, because, you know, like he's hot and everything, but I will do a poll, and I want you guys to help me decide. There will be a straw poll linked in the description of this video, and I want you to go there and cast your vote on who are we going with, and that person will be the one that we will stick to throughout this playthrough. So go vote, let me know what your decision is, and I will accept whatever your voice will tell me. Thank you so much, guys, and remember, don't get lost in the night. Good night.